first Let's Talk Tuesday of 2023. We truly hope that you had just an amazing, memorable holiday season. We pray that you were able to have great family time and really make some memories that will last and carry you through. Dee and I wanted to start off this year and kind of in a series this quarter talking about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. I know that's a TV series, and we just kind of wanted to really come out of the holiday season because we know, and we've had multiple conversations just of the craziness of life during the holiday season. I'm sure you experienced it. We all do, right? There's so much hustle and bustle and so many parties and so many family activities that sometimes you don't get to slow down and breathe and actually enjoy because you're moving so fast. And so now you start the new year and everything comes to a screeching halt, or maybe it doesn't, right? Because now we have New Year's resolutions and now we've got these new things we want to do and tackle and accomplish. And 2023 is going to be great and it's going to be a wonderful year. And we just wanted to come right out of the gate with the first one, breaking the crazy cycle.
Yes.
Breaking the crazy cycle. Listen, every family has been there. Every marriage has been there. If you got kids, sometimes it's always a crazy cycle, right? Just a season. That's what we used to say. Just a season.
Enjoy it, though.
Enjoy every moment of it. So just want to start with that. So, Dee, kind of in our world, explain what in our family and marriage, just what does the crazy cycle mean and what does it look like trying to break it?
I think the best picture, if I think about the crazy cycle, I think I see a picture of just like, when you go to the laundromat and you're staring at the laundry and you see the one sock that's just being kind of tossed to and fro, and maybe it even feels mismatched, and it's just, it every now and then you'll see it pop back up, but you don't see it for a long time. Well, if you're that sock, that's kind of what the crazy cycle feels like. You barely see the light. You just are constantly tossed. You feel like it's just never going to end, and that could be good things like, the cycle can be because you just had a new baby. It could be because you just got married. It could be a new job and a new hometown, or, different things that are good things. And then it could also be really, really hard things, that you walk through, and it's, it could be, mistrust in your marriage. It could be, your kids aren't doing well. It could be, like the season we're walking through, grief and loss. It could be all these different things, but it's just this tossing, and you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You feel like it's never going to end. I think that's the best picture I can give for calling the crazy cycle,
I think that's a crazy definition, and I think when you're in that crazy cycle, that's probably really well said, that you can never see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You talk about it, and you hope it's coming, and you wish it's there, but you just don't see it. You're in this moment where it's like, oh, there's no end. And I think a lot of times, when you talk about the crazy cycle, there's this feeling of loneliness and hopelessness.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
like, I think I'm the only one going through this because I see everybody else's social media and they look like they've got it so put together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yet my family is crazy, or my home is crazy. And, what would you say first and foremost to anyone that feels like they're being tossed to and fro and they feel like, man, there is no hope? Because I know that we've been there, right? And things that we've walked through, like long before now, just
even in our marriage,
seasons of life. Just having been through there, kind of give one or two things. What would you offer as a hope to those who feel hopeless or maybe feel lonely?
I think for me, the most important thing to constantly try to remember is fact over feeling. Because if I lean into how I feel, a lot of times instead of reminding myself of what's truth, I can easily just feel that hopelessness creep in. I can easily feel like there's never going to be an end. So constantly reminding myself to focus on, the fact over the feeling. Back to that dryer picture, there's a time limit, right? But if you're that sock and that dryer, you don't feel like it's going to last forever. And it doesn't matter how large the crazy cycle is that you're walking through, and you might feel like it's insurmountable. And he is right. We've walked through so much in our marriage, whether for us at the beginning it was really struggles with our communication. That was our crazy cycle, and trust issues. And then you throw kids in on top of it, and all of their things that they're having to learn to walk through and deal with as human beings. And now we're still trying to figure out our own crazy cycle, and we have more people thrown into the crazy cycle. But reminding yourself that there is someone on the outside that has control of when that stops. There's someone on the outside that is watching over, your cycle. And I think just knowing that and realizing, okay, there is someone in control, because we want to be in control so much, and there's things that are beyond our control, but realizing that there is someone that says, okay, I know what's best for you. I know what you need, and is guarding and guiding us, and realizing that there's that fact over how we feel in this tough season. It gives us hope, and realizing there is going to be an end to that season, or at least some kind of relief. Because if we don't believe that, that's just a lie. That's a lie, and I think it's very easy for me to get caught up in like feeling like this is never going to get better.
Yeah.
Why even try?
I think that's kind of a crazy thing, and it really took me. I think the dryer analogy is like really crazy, actually, just being that sock. But I think about how many marriages we've talked to, and how many couples now that we've talked to, that they kind of get in this crazy cycle, and they almost it becomes normal and routine. Like I take my kids to 4 different sporting activities. We have tutors. We don't do dinners together. My husband works long hours. I have to work at night. Like they get this crazy cycle, and the crazy cycle actually becomes their normal cycle, right?
For sure.
So they don't even there's no even difference of the two now. You've actually adopted the crazy cycle and what's completely unhealthy as your normal.
Right.
And then what happens is when that last kid graduates, you look at your spouse and realize, we have nothing in common. I don't know that I really even like you. Intimacy left this house a long time ago. You know what? I think I'm going to leave as well. I mean, we've had more conversations that when the kids are gone, because that crazy cycle became the normal cycle. And when the normal cycle was no longer normal, now we look at each other and we got nothing in common, and marriages dissolve. I mean, that's over and over and over again. So, I think we really have to be honest with our lives and go, man, is my life a crazy cycle? Like, honestly, that may be getting marriage coaches. That may be getting life coaches to step in and go, hey, listen, we're on the outside looking in, and this isn't the healthiest.
Right. Yeah.
What would you, give just to that marriage that may be in it, to the spouse, the couple that may be in it, that really can't see it? What would you offer someone to go, listen, if you were going to get out of this thing, the first step, give me number one, just start here. Because sometimes it looks so insurmountable, like, oh, it's an elephant. Elephants one bite at a time. We've said that a bunch of times. What would be that first step in that crazy cycle exit?
Yeah, whether it's your marriage or a friendship or your, a dating couple, relationship, no matter what you feel like crazy cycle you're in, I think the very first thing is being honest and addressing it. Like, whoever that crazy cycle's with, obviously we're talking more about marriages right now, but like, whoever that crazy cycle's with, not in the heat of the moment, not during the argument, not during, hey, we gotta fix this.
And not you're crazy.
Not you're crazy, yeah. But
this is crazy.
Yeah, can we sit down and talk? I just feel like we aren't doing our best to meet each other's needs. I feel like we aren't doing our best we're just spinning our wheels. Like, can we reconnect? Like, calling it out and explaining to your partner what you want to have as priorities and getting on the same page. And I think the beginning of the year, I think that's why this is such a good first, first one of the year, because right now is a good time to say, okay, 2022 was, for a lot of people, just horrific. So, okay, what can we focus on? What can we prioritize in this year? How can we together just change this feeling of just spinning our wheels? How can we change that together? And I think just addressing it, calling out would be my first suggestion. And, absolutely just loving on each other, but making a plan together, because, a house divided, doesn't succeed. It won't stand. So you got to come on the same page as a couple, and it doesn't have to be an argument or a fight to actually say, okay, it's in the calm, saying, hey, can we just sit and chat and think, like, how do you think we're doing? How do you think we are as a couple? What are things you want to see differently in our next year or next season? I think it's important.
Yeah, in complete vulnerability and transparency, like, we're even having these conversations now. Like, sure. I just, a couple of days ago told her, like, we're in Michigan right now, and we're doing a marriage thing up here and getting to preach up here. But when I get back into town, like, I need to look at my dreams and goals of 2023. We're in a crazy cycle, and we're trying to do our own healing, and we're trying to walk things out. But we still have to sit down and even put in front of us, okay, this is where we're at. This is the season. But this is what it's got to look like for us so that we can continue to progress. So I would tell you, don't think, oh, we can't do that or we can't have a civil conversation. You don't know what you can have and wait until you try. Oh, Kurt, we've tried 100 times, but what if it's the 101st time? The Holy Spirit steps in and a heart's open and ready to go. You just got to continue to be honest and address it.
Yeah.
I love it. What about like crazy cycle with kids?
Yeah.
Kids just, it's easy when it's just two and you kind of can.
I don't know about easy, but.
Easier.
Yeah.
Got to be easier. But man, you throw 1, 2, 8 kids, 8 kids for somebody here. You throw that in the mix, and that's just exponential growth in that crazy cycle.
Yeah.
So, what would you suggest to families walking through maybe hard times with their kids? Maybe their kids are a little loose and not acting right, or creating tension, or creating adversity in the home, and it's really adding to this craziness. What kind of encouragement would you give there?
I think if at all possible, depending on your relationship with your spouse, try to be on the same page, even if. And I know we're talking to multiple different people here, even if you and your spouse aren't still together, even if there's a divided home, try to get on the same page. Like, what are the priorities that you want for your kids? I think if you want Jesus to be the main focus, then you can't have him doing all the activities that drives them to be the next pro athlete. Yes, you can do those things, but there has to be balance. And the priorities, the kids have to know what the value is that you hold important. If things get out of line, I know you kind of mentioned the sports and whatever. We had 3 boys, so seasons of, football, baseball, soccer, all on top of each other. And then there were seasons where we had to say, okay, this is what we can do, we can't do. This is going to be healthy. We can't do all the travel teams. We can't do all of these things because that becomes our main focus and our priority. So what is our value? What do we want our kids to know? What do we want? What culture do we want to breathe into our kids? And we didn't always get it right. There were times that we had to, our kids were upside down and we had to refocus and we had to pull it back in, But putting a halt on things sometimes is important and saying, hey, family meeting, what's our value here as a family? What's important? And realizing it's okay to tell your kids that you're struggling too. It's not okay. I think that's important. They need to hear that from the person that they look up to, because then they realize they can be vulnerable back, with you.
100%. And I can think about the multiple family meetings we had, right? Like just trying to corral everybody. But I want to encourage that dad or that mom. Remember, Denette is so right when she says they have to know what your family values. But you can say what you value till you're blue in the face. How you display what you value is going to show what you truly value. So, when a kid sees, oh yeah, we value Jesus and the fruit of the Spirit. That's what we value in our home. But meanwhile, you and your spouse are constantly arguing, constantly fighting. You're always on edge. You're throwing temper tantrums. You don't display the fruit of the Spirit. Right. So I don't think that's a big value of ours. That may be a desire of ours, but it's not a value. A value that we see when I'm watching what's happening in this crazy cycle is mom and dad always want to be right. Mom and dad are disciplinarians. Mom and dad have no grace. Like, that's the kind of things you display in these crazy cycles to where they go, that's what they value. I know what they wish they had, but that's what they value.
I think some of our biggest moments for our boys, like learning as a family, was moments that we actually said, hey, we got that wrong. Like, man, I'm sorry that I overreacted. I'm sorry I lost my temper. Will you forgive me? Because what it does is it gives them the opportunity to say, oh my gosh, my parents are doing their best to figure out how to live the best way they can, for this God they say they serve. Man, how do I then, it gives them a vulnerability to then come to us when they've failed,
That was a nice way of saying that. I don't think Denette ever had to apologize.
Yes, I did.
It was mostly bad.
Yes, I did.
Walking in the room, she looked at me like, you may need to follow that conversation up.
There were those times too, but there were multiple times that I had to go to the voice and ask for forgiveness.
That really was revolutionary for our family, because then I think what it did was it gave our boys the ability to know, listen, I can fail too, but there's a way to come up out of that failure and redeem those moments. So it doesn't just linger, right? Yeah, that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
we've heard it said over and over again that you do the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm working on my personal goals for 2023. It's so funny. I actually just posted this morning, like, you know, you want something different in 2023, do something different. Like, you know, and for me, it's been heavy on my heart, just this consistency of staying at what I have felt God leading me to do. Just stay there and stay there and stay there. And I'm making it very known. I got my own journals and, you know, making it very, being held accountable, you know, by different people. And what would you say to the person wanting a different outcome this year that goes, okay, I hear you. I want to break that crazy cycle. Okay, great. Tell me step one. Like, here I go.
It's scriptural. In Habakkuk, it says, Habakkuk 2, write a vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. He hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. And yes, they were talking about something totally different than your goals, right? But God's word is saying, hey, make it plain. Yeah. Make it plain. Like, what? And these are spiritual principles. So obviously, hopefully, if you're watching, you know, you have some type of spiritual journey you're on with Jesus. So make it plain. Make it plain what those things are that you want in your home. Plan ahead. You want something different for your marriage? You got to make something different when it comes to that time together. I remember times when we had $0 and we felt like there's no way we can have a date night or whatever. Find friends to swap babysitting with, because babysitting's expensive. Find friends to babysit. You know, it's swapped up. We did that for a season in our life. We'd watch their kids, they'd watch our kids, so that we could have time together. You know,
better kids than yours. Don't be swapping with crazy kids.
But make a plan. You know, you want to be close. You want your kid. I've heard just a couple of days ago, someone was like, "Man, I hope my kids are close like your kids." Start building that community. Like, ask your kids, "Hey, you know, what do you want to do this summer?" Don't just look back on the summer and go, "Oh, another summer came and gone. We did nothing. We didn't meet." What do you want to do this summer? Let's make a list. Let's make it plain. Let's, like, what are your goals this year, kids? Like, make it plain. Talk about it as a family. Talk about those goals, you know, as a couple. Whether or not you can get away for one night because that's all you can afford. Whether or not you're camping in your backyard and your kids just know, hey, mom and dad are in the tent. Don't come out. Like, make it plain. Make a plan to make the time for each other so that you actually build that community. You know, I'm so
Here's what I want to do
for that. Yeah.
Because I think you're so right that people make so many excuses of why they can't. So, Broken for Better wants to do this for you. This just hit me like that fast. Okay. If you've watched it and you've gotten this far and you feel like, wow, you know, I can't get away and I haven't been able to have a date night because financially we just can't, and I wish we could. Broken for Better will sponsor your date night. We're going to pay for you to go out to dinner. We're going to pay for you to stay overnight somewhere and just enjoy. So you had to watch the video, so we'll know who watched it. You know, but if finances is a thing and you go, listen, direct message us, we will take care of that. I love that because we can't make excuses. I remember sitting on the side, like in fields with peanut butter and jelly and chips, laughing at each other like, this is what our life is right here. You know, peanut butter and 50-cent bags of chips. Well, that's good. Actually, you know, anyway, listen. You know, it's crazy, and you said that, and for months now, I've been in the gym, and this is what's funny. This is hysterical to me that I've been in the gym, and come October, November, December, it actually was kind of like emptying out a little bit. You know, everybody was so busy, and there I am, and I go to an ungodly hour too. But you know, it's like
nobody goes at 5 a.m.
You know, but nobody's there. Well, let me tell you what happened January 2nd. These jokers came up out the woodworks. I even started working out with my buddy who literally walked in and he was like, hey, you know those people that they show up the first part of January? And they were like, yep. He goes, that's me. You know what I mean? So I would just tell you, like, it's so true that when we get in this crazy cycle, we had the best hopes and the best dreams. And even right now you may go, man, I'm going to break this in my own family. Like, I want to break this crazy cycle. And it just looks so crazy. And how do I take the first step? Or you get caught with the left hook. Well, my kids are all in sports now, so how do I even start? Look, start doing something.
Anything.
Like, just start something, you know? Do you agree with how we handle having two totally different views on the career? Like, if I view it one thing and you view it different, do you think, how do we come together with those two views? Does that mess us up? Like, what if you know, I don't see this crazy, but you do see this crazy? Like, how do those views, how do we merge, or how did we merge? Because I know sometimes...
And we walked through that.
I live crazy. Like,
Well, yeah, and we definitely live on different... Yeah, like he goes a lot. I'm more introverted. So we definitely are different. But when we weren't walking hand in hand with Jesus, we both had different viewpoints, different worldviews, different, we had it was like crazy cycle into crazy cycle is what it felt like, and so I think if anyone's watching that, your partner might not be on the same page as you, or you feel like your kids are so upside down, the best advice I can give is to live like Jesus, which is dying to self. And that's not easy. It's not easy. It's so much harder than it sounds. But dying to self, if we get too full of ourselves, I want this, well, he never does this for me. And it's that respect versus love, the crazy cycle comes out of a book called Respect versus Love, so it's like he wants respect, she wants love. If we don't give it to the other person, then the cycle just continues. And so it's realizing that you're not fighting against each other, you're fighting for each other. And when you would realize you're not in competition, you're on the same team. Of course, we know that in our head, but it's so much harder to not keep those tallies, against each other. I've done all these things, he's done none of these things. But it's constantly dying to self. It's like, okay, I'm going to have these conversations. I'm going to keep fighting for my marriage. I'm going to keep fighting for my kids. I'm going to fight hell, literally, to keep this family together. But how do I do that? I'm going to die to self today. I'm going to say, hey, I would really like it if we could get on the same page here. But if not, I'm going to keep loving. I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to keep doing. And then calling out what is best in your partner, even when there's not much there, is so important. You can talk down to your husband, you can talk down to your spouse, you can talk down to your friend, you can talk down to your coworkers, you can talk down to your kids. And they're going to match those things you call out in them.
Yeah.
So you have an opportunity to either call out or call down. And so for me, die to self and speak what you want. Speak, truth over who you see in your partner, who you see God has revealed to you. As they might not be that yet, but this is what I think God has got inside of you, and man, I can't wait to see it, because I think it's there and I see it in you. That has power in a person's life.
Yeah. Call down or call out. Your crazy cycle, you're either going to aid to it or you're going to abolish it. I mean, it's one of the two. And the language we use sometimes is gas on that crazy cycle.
For sure. Yeah.
You want to get out of the crazy cycle, careful the language that you use. Because you may be pushing your spouse deeper into the crazy cycle because the way you're talking to them, or the way you're acting with them, or what you're doing or not doing. Like, language is everything in a relationship. Communication is everything.
Yeah.
Listen, there it is.
There it is.
Breaking the crazy cycle. You should be done now. You watch this. Crazy cycle's gone.
Done.
Just that easy.
Dry her off.
Listen, dry her off. Yeah, stop spinning. Listen, we love you.
Yeah.
We do hope that 2023 is the greatest year of your marriage. We do hope that you are able to stop crazy cycles in your marriage.
Yeah.
Remember, direct message us if Broken for Better can come alongside your marriage.
Yeah.
And if you need... Listen, I need marriage coaching, or I need life coaching. That is something that Broken for Better offers. You can go to brokenforbetterministry.com. It is all on there to do that. We love you. We want to see you thrive in 2023. That being said, have an amazing evening and a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.